One day, a small child falls into the underground and ends up in a world of monsters. They proceed to befriend the monsters that inhabit it, coming across many eccentric characters, many dangers to their life, and flowers, most unusual, along the way. One day, a little girl goes somewhere she shouldn't and ends up in a world of monsters. Meets a big, blue, horned, scary-looking monster and a smaller, more intellectually inclined green best friend. It is up to them to protect her from the rest of their world until they can find a way to get her back home. Observant viewers might be able to parse that I just gave a synopsis of two highly popular pieces of media. Those being the incredibly popular indie RPG Undertale by Toby Fox, and of course Pixar's animated feature film Monsters, Inc. These observant viewers are wrong. What I just described to you were two different plot synopses for one piece of fiction. A piece of media that flew under most people's radars. A game, in fact. It was lavished with praise by the few who played it. A game by a little-known Japanese studio by the name of Odin Cat, featuring music by Laura Shigihara, best known for incredible contributions to the soundtracks of To the Moon, Plants vs. Zombies, and Deltarune. A game that was one of the greatest RPGs of 2023, and very easily my favorite game of the year. Meg's Monster. Personally, I advise you to check out this game right now if you haven't. This is a game best experienced knowing as little about it as humanly possible. It's only $15 on Steam and it's not on sale. And despite its rather short length for an RPG, I think every minute of this game is worth that price. If anything I have said thus far is even remotely interesting to you, please stop watching this video and check it out, and maybe come back after to hear more of my thoughts and stuff, I don't know. In this video, which may or may not be the first in a series of videos where I talk about this game, because I really like this game, I intend to recap what I would consider the game's introductory segment, and share my thoughts and opinions on why I think it works pretty well for what it is. And as a little behind the scenes, this was originally going to be one big video essay about the entire game, but sculpt creep happened, and I realized that would be a lot of work for a first video essay. And additionally, I know some of you motherfuckers. I know some of you would simply watch this video as a substitute for experiencing the game for yourselves. So this way, I can onboard some of you people who are still on the fence. Yeah, I'm not a fool. I know some of you would simply watch this video instead of playing the game. But if I do it like this, maybe, just maybe, crossing my fingers, you will see what's going on in this intro when you weren't actually interested in playing it before, and go, wow, actually, maybe that Sidani person was right, and then buy the game. It's an indie dev. Support indie devs. Don't think I didn't know what's up. That's what you were fucking planning, Jake. With that, however, we now begin our look at what is, in my humble opinion, the most underappreciated indie RPG about monsters. Game opens on a hooded figure in white walking up to an old, abandoned laboratory. After taking their hood off, this figure, now revealed to be a blonde young woman, looks around. She's looking for answers to memories she can't quite recall, trying to find a reason why. She looks at this great red star. She gets this funny feeling in her chest. Upon entering the facility, it's some ruins, but she manages to recognize it as the lab her mother worked at 20 years ago. One remembers a radio broadcast mentioning a high concentration of waste within the red star. This radio broadcast was from when the star first appeared, and just before the lab would be shut down. Looking around, she finds an old transceiver and listens to the most recent recording on the device. Surprisingly, she seems to vaguely recognize one of the voices. We now find ourselves in a much different location. Smile Child, this being Meg is seen on the fucking promotional art and the title screen and such, is found laying down on what appears to be a dumping ground of sorts. Photo right behind her, and a massive, fucked up, vaguely robotic skull looking down at her from above. She's not fazed by this. The game cuts to, it's him. It's the guy. That's the Meg's monster, and the green sort of insect-looking monster besides him. As we soon find out, these two are named Roy and Golan, respectively, and they're collecting magic tar. Or rather, Roy is, and his buddy's just hanging out, chilling, being a bro, looking pretty. Then, Meg comes walking up to them, searching for her mother.
Mommy? Hey, mister. Where's my mommy?
How the heck should I know? Dude, what's with this kid?
That is a human, bro. Oh, that's right. You've never seen one before, have you? They wind up down here from time to time. Pretty rare to see one so young, though. Looks like it's our lucky day, huh? We just scored ourselves a free meal. What do you say, Roy? Feel like splitting her, half and half?
Think I'll pass, man. This magic tar is all the food I need.
Seriously, bro. I don't know how you can eat that nasty sludge. But if you say so. Now then, don't mind if I...
Huh? What the? Why it's so hot all of a sudden? Feels like I'm on fire. The hell's going on?
Hey, kid. Calm down, will ya? It was a joke, alright? I was kidding around. Come on, kiddo. There.
What was that all about? Hey, what the? Get off me!
Another monster soon approaches, smelling something good. But Roy immediately assumes he's after the ogre's magic tar. So a battle starts, and unfortunately for Spud here, Roy has bigger numbers than him. Spud runs off, Golan seemingly unconvinced that he was actually after the tar. Meg goes to hug Roy, asking him for help, which he refuses in a way that definitely wouldn't frighten a small child at all. But Golan decides to stop him, since scaring her might lead to bigger problems, and the group decides to leave, for now. Thus, we see a map of the game's main locale, the Underworld. A quaint town in the center, house just northwest of it. Maybe it's like a fortress or something. I don't know. Some kind of swamp area eastwards. Some other junkyard, like just south of that, and then a large white mass of some sort, just south of. Oh, here it is. Roy's home. Walking up to the ogre's place, not the swamp, unfortunately. There's some garbage laying around here too, and a sign by the door. Roy's not too thrilled about having visitors over, aside from Golan, who seems to tag along with Roy wherever he goes. He's staying outside for now. It appears he's calling someone. A human, from the looks of it, catching him up on the situation. Man says something about a criticality response they predicted and suggests not to separate Roy and Meg, as the latter already seems to be growing attached to the big monster, for some reason. The monsters down here don't seem to like people much either, and her crying seems to be the trigger for that bizarre thing Roy noticed happening earlier, so it suggested Golan should keep Meg from crying. Hey, what's she up to anyways? Roy is eager to get to his favorite meal, magic tar. But is interrupted by Meg, who begins to ask him a series of questions about his name, the lack of furniture in his house, and his favorite food, magic tar, which eventually frustrates our big blue buddy, leading to that. Back outside with Golan, the human on the other end of the line tells him to keep things under control. That's not going well. Golan, back inside, explains a version of what he was told to Roy. Clearly keeping secrets from his bro, pretending he rationalized that Meg may be some sort of harbinger of ruin, essentially copying what was told to him over that communications device in his bracelet. Roy, however, is none the wiser and simply believes Golan as the pair go out to search for clues to the whereabouts of Meg's mom. Golan remarking that if another monster already found her, she's likely as good as eaten. The group is confronted by a duo in front of Roy's house. It's Spud from before, and this time he's brought his boss,
Jason!
And initially offers to split the kid with Roy and Golan, but they deny the offer. And upon trying to explain the situation,
Jason!
and Spud don't believe this, laugh at them, and thinking they're not being taken seriously, threaten to fight them. Golan, being a weak little twink, tells Roy he's staying out of the fight, so it's all up to him. Unfortunately for these two chumps, Roy's numbers are still higher, but this is where we first see our actually relevant bar. This bar indicates how close Meg is to crying, although in this fight there's basically no way for it to naturally drop to 0. But if you do manage to get yourself into a situation where Meg can't hold back her tears, well, as the game's tagline says, if she cries, the world dies. After Roy just absolutely destroys these clowns, Meg hugs him, and Golan ruminates on the state of their world. Wonder it's common for monsters to eat humans. Even those that don't still loathe everything humanity stands for. In an attempt to keep her calm, they set out on a new mission, to find Meg a toy in the salvage yard. Roy briefly comments on Golan's bracelet, asking if he found it in trash there as well, though that doesn't seem to be the whole truth of it.
Now, without further ado, I hereby call this monthly council meeting to order. I, Gustav, shall now present my findings to the floor. Regarding this Pole fellow about whom we spoke at length in our last meeting, my independent investigation has determined that there is exceedingly little risk of him violating the neutrality pact. As such, I would submit to the council that no further action is necessary at this time.
How many times can you independently investigate the same human before you get bored? Like, just wondering.
What are you saying? Any human living in our domain must be periodically checked upon to ensure that there are no potential violations of...
Yeah, just forget I said anything.
Oh, then your turn, Nancy. Give us your report.
Not much to report on my end.
Very well. Len.
Nothing for me either.
I see. Elder Sebastian, have you anything to discuss? It appears the Elder has nothing of import either. Well then, no one has anything to discuss, then I suppose we can call this meeting adjourned. But hey, why have you turned the lights on? Can't you see we're trying to have a meeting in here?
Forgive me, sir. I have an urgent report. Word on the street is that a monster's been seen walking around with a human kid. Almost like some kind of pet. Guy goes by the name of Roy, from what I'm told. Anyway, I just thought I should report it immediately, given the extremely unusual circumstances.
Well now, a human, you'd say. Understood. Good work, soldier. You may return to your post.
Yes, sir.
Wait! Don't forget to turn the lights back off on your way out. We can't very well have a council meeting without a dark and brooding atmosphere, you know.
Yes, sir.
Wow, an actual human child, huh? Lucky. Been a while since we last saw one of those.
This is no time for giggling, Nancy. If this Roy fellow were to violate the neutrality pact, do you have any idea what the repercussions of that might be?
I mean, you're gonna go take care of it, right? Like you always do?
But of course, I believe a swift response is warranted, given the circumstances.
I gotta say, I'm a little bit curious myself. Like, how crazy do you have to be to keep a human as a pet, you know?
Indeed. Elder Sebastian, have you any thoughts on this matter?
Gramps?
What is the matter, Elder? We must hear your opinion. My opinion? Right, my opinion. Well, let's see here. If I had to say, I think you guys have got the right idea, yep. Aha, so you agree that it would be prudent to take swift action on this? Yep, got to take action. Always good to be prudent, yes sirree. We cannot stand idly by while one of our cavorts around town with a human. Pardon? What human? I mean, you betcha can't have that. No, sirree. Let us all try to investigate this matter before we next meet. We must ascertain why this monster is supposedly harboring a human child, and to what end, and whether or not there is any risk of him violating the neutrality pact. And on that note, I believe we can call this meeting adjourned. Okay, everyone, let's bring it in for our usual team huddle.
Can we please not?
Quick side note before we get into the writing aspect. This game's presentation is really, really solid. The sprite work's great. It's pretty Mother 3 inspired. You could probably confuse Meg for just being an NPC from that game if you didn't know any better. The monsters' environments give it its own little identity, and it's definitely less saturated from others' environments, which contributes to a little bit more of a down-to-earth vibe. It definitely doesn't lead with as much kookiness as Mother does. Once again, shoutouts to the massive, fucked up, vaguely robotic skull for just being this really striking image to introduce you to the Underground. I want to compare this game to, say, Undertale too much, but it's interesting how that game starts you off in one of the most minimalistic rooms in the entire game, where this game comes swinging out right from the get-go. It's just a lot more confidence in the presentation, whereas Undertale kind of builds towards its bigger moments, which I actually like. wouldn't say it's better, but it's interesting, if nothing else. The music, which you've been hearing throughout this video, is just pretty good. I say this knowing like nothing about actual music theory, but like, I don't know, I think it sounds good. I'd probably have to check in with a real music person about this, and I don't know a lot of those, so, damn. That's the best you're getting out of me about that. Now, let's talk about why I feel this intro actually does a good job at establishing what this game's cast, some of the things it's going to be about, some of the things it will deal with and think about, etc. Even if, at this point, it's not particularly amazing, I think the game deserves credit for just how much it can actually communicate to the player in so little time. For starters, this game leads with mystery, right? The red star, what's that thing? How'd it get there? Why is there so much waste in it? Why does this seemingly grown-up Meg feel weird when she looks at me? What happened in this lab? Who were those people on the transceiver? This is without mentioning all the questions that might pop into your head once we enter the monster world. What's the deal with that massive, fucked up, vaguely robotic skull where Meg fell down? Is Meg's mom okay? What's up with Meg's crying, bringing forth the end of the world? What's the deal with Golan and his bracelet? Who is that guy on the other end of the call? What's his deal? Who's the council and what's their deal? We've established their baseline personalities, but what are their goals, right? Speaking of establishing personalities, the main trio's dynamics get set up almost immediately. With Meg being a small, frightened, ultimately incredibly sweet child that's put into an incredibly vulnerable situation, and seeks comfort in Roy, this big, lumbering ogre of a man who might not like her, but thanks to the clear threat of potential global annihilation, at least, tolerates her presence in spite of his own lack of tact or, frankly, care for a little girl. With all this and his insane strength making him the brawn to Golan's brain. Golan is a lot smarter, kinder. He's more gentle with Meg than Roy is. He's clearly not an entirely innocent soul either. Like, for some reason, the first thing he does when he sees Meg is try to eat her, which kind of kickstarts the entire plot. This is without mentioning the fact that he's clearly hiding something from Roy, because, like, why didn't he bring up that guy he was calling around? When explaining that whole situation to him, and they acted like he thought of it, because I don't know, maybe he just wanted to look cool. Or the fact that he was talking to humans at all, which is odd, because he brings up monsters' hatred for mankind. What's going on there? He even seems to care about, or at least, like, genuinely like Roy to some degree, if nothing else. And as Golan's always hanging around to him, so why is he lying about this? What secrets do you have, Green Man? And all this gets set up in the first 20 minutes of the game. You might be wondering what happens after everything I've shown off in this video so far. If you are, and are even remotely intrigued by this setup, you should probably play the fucking game. Purchase and experience Meg's Monster for yourself. I think it's absolutely worth it. I have a natural outro, so I'm going to show you this image that I commissioned. Look at that. Awesome, right? I want to kiss him.